Hi, and welcome, Blake. Blake's a brave soul who I met several years ago who contacted me on social media one day and said, by the way, I saw your video blog today and it really moved me and I just wanted to let you know, write you and let you know. And I felt so touched that I reached back out to you, and that's how we ended up here. So
Exactly.
welcome, Blake. And you had also said, a few years ago when we met at this speech conference, that you knew of my work then, but that it really impacted you more now, like you really got it more now. And I was really curious, what changed? What made that transition happen?
I think there are a few things that led to that shift. When I met you, that was 3 years ago,
Mhm.
and I recall we were having a meal, the group of us who were at the event, and you told an example. I believe I'm going to mess up the name, but I think you called it like 5-level communication or something.
Yeah, 5 levels of
For
agreement.
example,
Five
yeah,
levels of
that.
agreement.
And I've, I've, I've seen that come up many, many, many times with mainly text messaging,
Mm-hmm.
um, with meetings or with friendships. Something as simple as, want to meet up next Tuesday at 5? And the response being, sure. But that's that's not complete yet. We
Yeah.
like we don't have an agreement there to take any step and actually do that thing. So and I've always noticed that in text messaging how it's it's entertaining how often you get 3/4 of the way there,
Mm-hmm.
but it might not complete. And so anytime I see that, I just think back to the conversation that you casually had over that dinner. So that was one thing that I've kept since then. So thank you for that. I kind of nod to you to my friends in those moments. I'm like, I met this woman named Neha years ago. She's got this whole thing on this. And apparently it is highly linked to our physical and mental health, the better we get at this one skill. That's one thing. But what's really shifted since that time, 3 years ago, is my fiance. She's a naturopathic doctor. And so I've just been more in tune to her ways than I
Yeah.
was 3 years ago. And so much of that is around what what's going on physically and what that might be a result of emotionally or like ancestrally, if that's even the word. So that was one piece, because I think your videos and your newsletters have a lot of themes of those kinds of conversations and best practices. And the third thing, and I think this is what really put me over the edge, is 1 year back I went to Bali, and whatever they sip on in Bali, woo, it's just like, it's all about things that are unhealed and
Mm-hmm.
things that have not been addressed. And what I noticed as a combination between being in love with a naturopath who's into health and wellness and healing and inner work, combined with a trip to Bali with her and being around the Balinese ways,
Yeah.
I've always been very good at communicating feelings. I mean, I'm a speaker for a living, so I can talk my way into and out of most situations. So if you want to ask me a question about my feelings, I can articulate feelings. But I don't think it was until about a year ago when someone just called me on it that I don't necessarily feel my feelings. I
Mm.
speak them. I can intellectually have a relationship with them, but I've always been a pretty optimistic, upbeat guy. And when you're a motivational speaker, it kind of helps on a business front. But a woman said to me in Bali, if all you do is focus on the light, you're not letting in the dark. And I guess I always thought dark was a bad thing on an emotional point of view, but it's feeling feelings versus speaking and thinking feelings. So your recent video that I saw, I believe you spoke consistently about a woman feeling and being with the feeling of a transition she was going through at the time, and I just thought, woo, Neha, a year ago, that wouldn't have struck me. And I believe it's because I was a really consistent and effective thinker of feelings. And I would journal a lot because I loved writing. So I could write feelings, I could speak feelings, but I don't think I've ever felt feelings.
Wow, that is huge. Let's just start with Bali is magic.
Bali!
Bali is
oh my gosh, Bali.
and also that you really have gotten the distinguishing piece, which is speaking about feelings is very different than experiencing them. And the experiencing of them has a letting go quality, a surrendering quality to allow what I call emotions, energy in motion. And a lot of people can talk about it or explain it, but they won't actually surrender to letting that energy move through them. And it sounds like that's what you're embarking on. And wow, like what a game change it'll be, because you don't have to, if you don't allow emotions to move through you, they end up getting stuck in you.
Yeah.
Because that energy has nowhere to go. And this idea, this other idea that you spoke about, which is the light and the dark, right? I didn't know it was good, to acknowledge the dark. I thought, why don't we just focus on the light? I find you to be a very optimistic person. And if you end up avoiding like anger, anything that's uncomfortable, right? The harder emotions, what you'll do, Brene Brown speaks about this in her TED Talk called The Power of Vulnerability. But basically, you cannot just, emotions move up and down like an amplitude. And when you stunt one of them, you actually stunt your ability to feel the amplitude of the other. So if I'm not willing to feel fear, anger, resentment, whatever it is, I also have limited my capacity of how much joy I can feel.
Oh.
And so you are a pretty happy, optimistic, go-lucky guy, but I have a feeling you're going to experience a whole different level of it as you let this other side of your emotion move through you and experience, the even heightened sense of emotions. So congratulations. I think that this is incredible, and I'm honored to have been someone on your journey.
Yeah, and it also I wanted to reflect back the fact that what you shared 3 years ago about the fact that talking and communication, it's such a big vehicle of the work that you do with people in your business, in your practice. Back then I thought, that's cool, and I'm a fan of that. Whereas now I've experienced and benefited from those tools, some things from your conversation years back, and then just a variety of sources. But what you're doing with TalkRx, it's so powerful, and I look forward to more people getting to benefit from the epicness that is Neha, because like talking, it doesn't get credit, and it's really hard. I mean, popping a pill is just easier than talking.
Yeah. And I just thank you. I thank you for your wisdom, your appreciation. You are a soul well beyond your years. So I look forward to staying in touch now and seeing how we can collaborate using communication and speaking and just this whole connection and awareness to move forward and figure out what we might be able to create together.
Yes, thank you, Neha.
All right, take care. And I love the car action. Love it.
Yes. Road trip.
Take care.
Bye-bye.